What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. This story is called, Just Because I Wear a Blue Polo Does Not Mean I Work Here. This happened a few months ago, so some details may be a bit fuzzy to say the least. Now, I work at Six Flags, and the uniforms for the team members are blue polos and either black pants for food and tan pants for games, retail, etc. I'm also really into guns, and seeing as I can't own a real one, I own some airsoft guns, and recently had gotten a flashlight grip for one of them. But I didn't get batteries for it, so I'm checking on Amazon, seeing which ones it took, and I decided to go to Walmart after work. It was hot as garbanzos that day, so I wasn't wearing a normal t-shirt under my uniform, and said, F it, what's the worst that could happen? I was also listening to music. I walk in and go over to the batteries at the front and can't find them. So I decided to go to the back of the store to see if there were any back there. Sure enough, there are, so I grab them and afterwards go to the board games to see if I could find Uno Flip. I did and grabbed that and started to head to where the shaving cream was. Then this lady comes down the aisle. Excuse me. I'm lip-syncing country music while looking for sensitive shaving gel. Hello? She snapped her fingers. I'm still lip-syncing country music. She takes my headphones off. What the heck are you listening to? Kenny Chesney. I was listening to She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy. Oh no, my butt fell off. Okay, 1, you shouldn't be listening to music during work, and 2, that isn't appropriate for work. Okay, and I should care why? Because you work here? No, and shouldn't you be wearing a name tag? Me being the sarcastic piece of salmon I am, yeah, I should wear a name tag to a place I don't work at. Don't talk back to me, I can have you fired. I point to the Six Flags logo. Look, I don't work here and I'm not even old enough to work here, so please just go away. Go get your manager. I don't work here, lady. I grab my headphones, say screw the shaving cream, and just go to the self-checkout. After that, she got this worker who, I don't know if he was a manager or not, but I was out the door by the time she spotted me. I don't know what happened afterwards, if anything did, because I never saw the lady again. But yeah, that's my story. One thing I've noticed with Karens and other entitled denizens of the universe, they go big on color association. Oh, you're wearing a red shirt, you must be a Target employee or a Blood Gang member. Or, yellow, you must be Banana Store man. At least they're smart enough to get color associations, you know? Hopefully their brains evolve a little bit further than that, eventually. This story's called, Not Santa, Just a Customer. This happened last December. My husband and I had gone to the Blue Megastore to look around for some gifts for our nieces and nephews. We had our kids with us, so we decided to split up. He would take our kids over to play with / look at the PJ Masks toys while I scoured the arts and crafts aisle for my niece. I'm dressed fairly casually though. I can see why this guy mistook me. I was wearing khaki pants, a black undershirt, and a short-sleeve bright blue shirt that had Toothless wrapped up in fairy lights on the front of it. I was also sporting a Santa hat that said, Merry Christmas on it. The store's uniform has casual pants and bright blue vests, and since this guy approached me from behind, it's understandable. As I'm looking for the craft sets, I hear some guy behind me go, Hey, Santa! I'd forgotten I was wearing the hat, so I didn't look around, but picked up the box I was considering to see what was included. Excuse me, Santa? Confused now, I look around and spotted some guy who was in his mid-40s and staring right at me. Hey, sorry, I was wondering if you could tell me where the Paw Patrol toys are? I turned fully to face him. Oh, sure, they're just... Some guy has taken a couple steps back to look at my shirts, my pentagram necklace, and interrupts me. Oh, you don't work here, do you? I laugh a little. No, I don't, but I know where the Paw Patrol stuff is. My kids are playing over there. Having decided against the craft box, I put it back. Here, I'll show you. We made some small talk as I walked him over and collected my kids and husband so we could move on. We wished each other a happy Christmas and parted ways. I thought we'd really enjoy a nice, wholesome story, you know, to contrast all the really sad, negative, enraging stories that we get on here. Also, kudos to those that actually do help out other customers even though they don't really work there. This story's called, Today I Fudged Up by Trying to Impress a Girl by Showing My Humane Side. So, this happened a few days ago. I recently got my first city job and there are clearly a few things I still need to learn. The other day, I decided to have my lunch in the city square as my office lunch space was being used to host foreign guests. I sat on a bench next to a hot girl, although we never spoke. I notice a pigeon walking from bench to bench, hoping for a crumb or two with no luck. I wonder why nobody would spare a crumb of their lunch for the poor guy. I thought, dang, city workers really are greedy. So I got a bright idea. I decided to impress this girl sitting next to me by sharing some of my brownie with this pigeon and show my caring side. Well, it turns out this pigeon was somewhat of a celebrity, and within seconds, every pigeon in the world and 1 or 2 unhatched eggs swarmed the bench we were sitting on. I mean, they were everywhere. On the backrest of the bench, on top of me, flapping in my face, everywhere. What's worse is that I'm not a fan of pigeons and got straight up and left her there. The poor girl was just quietly and peacefully eating her lunch, and I came along and turned her into pigeon feed. Guess I won't be getting her number. Aw, poor guy. I guess he didn't get the memo to not feed pigeons in the city because they'll go crazy for you. I'm interested in knowing in the comments below any funny stories where you tried to impress someone and you ended up looking like an idiot. This story's called, Today I Fudged Up by trying to help a kid in a wheelchair, then getting hit by a car and robbed. This happened yesterday. I was sitting at the bus stop near campus waiting for my bus home when I saw a college student on the other side of the street a ways down from me. He was in his backpack shuffling around with some papers when the wind picked up and blew them into the street. He couldn't get off the curb in his wheelchair and people were walking by him, not doing anything. So I hopped up and ran over to help him pick up his stuff. There were no cars coming, so I thought it was safe. I was wrong. I have a bunch of papers in my hand and am bent down trying to pick up another when I hear tires screeching and I knew I had screwed up. Fortunately for me, the car skidded into me and knocked me over, but I wasn't seriously injured, unless you count the emotional injuries. I talked to the driver and explained why I was in the street. I'm fine, so we let it go. I go back to the kid in the wheelchair and hand him what papers I managed to retrieve. This is where the second F-up happens. I look back at the bus stop and see that my bus has arrived right on time. It literally never happens except for today, and it's pulling away. I try to get the bus driver's attention, but it's too late. It's like a 6-mile walk home from where I am and a while before the next bus. I could walk, but I have to be at work later, so I decide to call a Lyft. I pull my phone out only to realize it's dead. No worries, I have a portable charger in my bag. My bag? Where the heck is my bag? I left it sitting on the bench when I went to help the kid and someone must have taken it. I'm panicking at this point. I had a bunch of important documents in the bag along with a cheap Toshiba laptop and some other odds and ends, but the worst part of all was the brand new Nintendo Switch I had finally saved up for and bought less than a week ago. I was so bummed I almost started crying, and I'm not really a crier. I decide to just walk home. Unfortunately, my phone is dead, so I can't call my job to explain why I'm not there. About halfway through my walk, it starts raining. Of course, my umbrella was in my bag as well. I actually start laughing at this point. I think I was just starting to lose it. I get home, finally, soaked from the rain and with no keys to get into my house. Where are my keys, you ask? That's right, in the bag. I managed to break through a window in the back of the house, but tear my sweater climbing through the window. At this point, I don't even react. I just want this day to end. I charge my phone and, fortunately, my boss is the coolest and tells me not to worry about coming in. Still sucks that I missed work, but silver linings. I walk into my living room and see the empty box for my new Switch and I actually start crying this time. I poured myself a glass of bourbon and sat down on the couch with my dog. I don't know which god or gods I angered yesterday, but at least it can't get any worse than this. Oh, let me stop you right there, buddy. You should know way better than to say something like that. It can't get any worse. Do you not notice that 98.45% of the times that is said in a movie or a TV show, it gets exponentially worse seconds later? Come on! But it still really sucks that that guy's life was temporarily ruined, like completely, because he wanted to help someone out. Just goes to show, that's what happens when you help people. I'm kidding, of course. Help people as much as you possibly can. In fact, I'm giving away my entire life savings. All you have to do is Alright, here is a huge story called Today I Fudged Up by Forgetting I Secretly Made a Portrait of the Girl I Loved. Happened a few hours ago. I don't know if I'll survive the coming week when my dad gets home. So it's Diwali this month here in India, and as per tradition, we clean the entire house down to every single drawer and every single cupboard, every piece of crockery, and other things implying the word meticulous in its truest sense. Since Diwali is on the 29th of this month, there's still a lot of time to get done with the yearly cleaning up, but this year, Mom decided to start early because my sister and my dad wouldn't be at home for the week. So she gets the entire house to herself, except me taking up a small spot to study or browse through Reddit and Instagram. I also help her out as much as I can so that her burden is eased. But she actively refuses any help I offer as she likes doing this stuff alone. Anyway, so she starts the cleanup in my room. This includes everything, from wiping walls with cleaning agents to washing the curtains. Basically, everything is clean. I move my bed to make space for her to have ladder access to all the walls. Then she tells me to move out and let her do her work. About 45 minutes later, I'm in the living room actually studying for once, for the upcoming exams in my college, when my mom calls me. Assuming she needed my help with something, I go to the room to find her cleaning up my study table. She asked me to sift through my cabinet where my old PC's tower used to be. Ever since that trucking potato left this earthly plane, for good, which was 1.5 years ago, I used that particular file cabinet to store my project files, assignments, and artwork. She wanted me to segregate all the papers I didn't need anymore so that they could be sent for recycling. I like sketching and making stencils of things, and I feel proud to say that I'm also fairly good at it. Going back to 2016 for the background story, I was fresh out of Class 10. In the Indian schooling system, passing Class 10 is considered matriculating from school and being eligible for junior colleges. And after passing a 2-year course in said junior colleges, you become eligible for actual colleges. I had joined some coaching classes to help with the new syllabus, and a very close girl friend of mine, named Isha here, was also in the same institution, although in a different batch with a different stream of subjects. I regarded her as a sister and loved her like one too. She's told me there's a girl, let's call her Aditi, who lives in her building, who was also in her batch. Me being the virgin nerd I am, didn't pay much attention to it, because I usually noped away from girls ever since I was a kid, except Isha, who I got close to via a series of unrelated events. At this point, I feel obligated to mention that Isha and I went to the same junior college while Aditi went to a different one. A few days later, during break time in the coaching classes, I'm talking to Isha when Aditi comes up to her. I hadn't seen or interacted with her in any form until then, but when I saw her, when she walked past and said, "Hi, Annan," without being approached first, flowers bloomed. I didn't realize this for an unhealthily long period of time, nearly 7 months, but I fell for her. I fell for her hard. I fell for her harder than when the Tsar Bomba detonated on Mityushka Bay. She was the most beautiful girl I had ever seen with my eyes, and she still is to this day. Eventually, me and Aditi got talking, and I realized I had deep feelings for her. However, due to my nervousness around girls, which was exponentially higher in this case, I decided to suppress my affinity for her and just stay a friend. We gradually grew closer together over the course of a year, to the point where she'd rant to me about how her mom would always nag her, and the usual teenager girl crap. But I helped her through it all anyway, because I did feel like doing everything I could for her while still being in my limits. A few months later, Aditi and I got into a very long and heated argument on our Instagram DMs regarding some stuff. But surprisingly, we came to a friendly conclusion. As it drew to an end, she said, "Annan, I like you." "You what?" "Yes." Oh, crap! It hit me like a truck. What most people make memes about and relate to imagination happened to me in real life. It was a lot to swallow at first, considering how sparse female contact has been for me, but I tried not to trip onto anything. Of course, I confess too. It was the happiest day of my life so far. I swear, if she were physically present that time, I would have held her so freaking close to my chest. She'd have been absorbed into my skin. I loved her, from the bottom of my heart and soul alike. This was in the summer of 2018. Being Indian, it's almost guaranteed that being in a teenage relationship will have you face severe repercussions from your family, your neighbors' families, their grandparents, and the dude who collects trash from your house. If you're born into a typical Indian household, it's written in your destiny. I am one such fellow. Hence, I had to be covert about this. Aditi's birthday was around this time, so Isha and a few of her friends, including me, planned to give her a basket full of stuff we made/ordered for her. By this time, both Isha and Aditi knew I could do stencils very well, so Isha asked me to make a stencil of Aditi, which we'd frame for her. I got to work immediately. She sent me a few photos of her and I decided on which one to reproduce. I got to work at the nights around 1 to 2 a.m. when I'd be alone in peace and my mom and dad would be asleep. I finished quite quickly and fired the stencil over to Isha's email. The next morning in school, junior college really, she said it was really good, but she wanted a slightly smaller stencil as it wouldn't fit in the frame otherwise. I started again. This time, I put a lake full of effort to make it my best work so far, and it was. It took me longer, but it was done just in time to have it framed for the big day. When we gifted it to her, it was the best thing ever. I could see the happiness in her eyes and I knew I made her day. Slowly, however, she started to bring up one of my best mates more and more into our conversations. I was getting slightly iffy, but put my faith in her and talked about it. She promised me he's just a friend. He wasn't. Over the next month, she became really cryptic with me. Then one evening, about a few weeks before my birthday, she meets me and finally delivers my worst nightmare. She told me she fell out of love with me, and that her and my mate have a thing between them. Whatever followed was beyond screwed up. Isha, Aditi, my best mate, I fought everyone, and ruined my years of friendship with them all out of rage. From this point on, the past becomes irrelevant to my screw-up today. You remember that first stencil of Aditi I made? I couldn't just crumple it up and throw it away, or destroy it in a fire. Since it was so close to me, I had to keep it. Hide it somewhere. Somewhere my mom or dad wouldn't look. Guess where I hid it? The cabinet where my PC tower was housed. Come back to today, remember my mom was at that very cabinet? Well, I agreed to sort the cabinet out. But I had literally forgotten, or should I say repressed, the fact that I had that stencil stored there. Mom also pulled out paper sheets to help me sort them. By the time we got to the bottom of the pile, she started taking out my artwork. Second to the very bottom, it was that stencil. By the time I realized what that sheet was, Mom had already pulled it out and was staring right into it. Right into Aditi's eyes. I realized my fate was sealed. "Anand, who's this?" Frozen, I accept my end. "Why did you make a drawing of a girl?" "Help! Anand, who is this girl? Tell me right now!" She said she'll report this to Dad once he comes back next week. Whether I'll be allowed to live in the house is debatable. My sister didn't know about this Anand Aditi thing, and I don't think she'll find it objectionable. But I know she wouldn't be able to help me much, should things go south on me. I should be scared for my life right now, but I can't help but laugh at myself and how life's been playing me lately. All I know is it's gonna be a long week ahead. Now, I'm not Indian, but I'm half something close to it. And I can 100% verify this story's validity, I guess. This is very much something that the youth of Desi families have to deal with. Brown parents are not okay with their kids liking anything at all that's not school or, sports. And even that is sometimes hit or miss. That was a pun. But anyways, regarding this story in particular, I feel like if he played his cards right, he could very much convince his family that it was just a drawing of no one he knew. Or if they know that he knew that girl, they could just be like, yeah, I just drew the picture for her birthday and I forgot about it. That was the first draft. It's so easy to just talk your way out of trouble. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.